turn this on. Chair Massey, you can get started whenever you would like.
I would like now. Let my script go. Good afternoon. The April 8th, 2021 regular board meeting of the City Colleges of Chicago is now called to order. For the record, the state of Illinois continues to operate excuse me, under statewide disaster proclamation first issued by Governor Pritzker on March 9th, 2020, and reaffirmed on April 2nd, 2021. I would like to also note that we continue to be subject to restrictions in the size and types of gatherings that are permissible under both the state of Illinois' Restore Illinois program, as well as under Public Health Order 2020-9, 6 amended and reissued by the Commission of Health of the City of Chicago. Today, we meet virtually to undertake certain actions necessary for the continued efficient operation of the district. Will the Assistant Board Secretary please call the roll?
Vice Chair Swanson?
Here.
Secretary Davis?
Here.
Trustee.
Take in the healing and re-education of our nation. While we move forward, quite often with heavy hearts because of these issues, we can look forward, I think, with hope for the inspiration. Just one example, Vice Chair Swanson mentioned earlier that she and I had along with the Chancellor and others, had the opportunity to meet Cook Scholarship. I'm repeating some of what she said, but I think it bears repeated. These are just a remarkable group of students, and the things they are doing are amazing, and their stories. They're going to some of the best institutions in the country, and many of them ask their own. One young man whom I've spoken with afterwards is going to major in astrophysics and astronomy. And he had no idea he'd be able to do that 2 or 3 years ago. And his choice of institutions are some of the best in the country. And we will also be meeting soon with our valedictorians and salutatorians for the class of 2021. And that's always a wonderful occasion. So our students are shining examples of what American society can achieve when it is at its best. We will hear from Vice Chair Swanson later on, but I will note that the Committee on Academic Affairs and Student Services did meet earlier today. And if you're interested in viewing the proceedings of that committee meeting, you can visit the City of Chicago, City Colleges of Chicago YouTube page. And finally, on a closing note, I would like to take a moment to recognize student trustee Thomas. Today is student trustee Thomas's last board meeting as his term on the board ends on April 14th. And while we are looking forward to welcoming the next student trustee who will be from Truman College, we are surely going to miss you, student trustee Thomas. This has to be a very involved, time-consuming job, and we can tell by the reports you give. I see you're nodding, but you really keep us so informed at the board level, and I'm sure at the senior management level, of what the students are thinking around the system. And your reports are always so informative and enlightening, and we're going to miss you, and we wish you the best in your future endeavors. I'm sure you're going to be successful and make us all very proud, even prouder than we are now. So we will now hear your report.
Thank you, Chair Massey. Good afternoon, everybody, members of the board, college presidents, everyone participating and watching. As the scholars transition from spring break, they hit the ground running by hosting a plethora of events to round out their tenure to ease their minds with finals directly right around the corner. At Daily, from April 1st to April 30th, they'll be hosting a cutest pet contest, and the SGA will be providing spirit gear to the winners. On April 6th and the 9th, they'll be hosting a DACA and Know Your Rights workshop. These events will be hosted at multiple times throughout those days. one in the evening and one in the morning. Both of them will be bilingual. So that's all. That's wonderful. On April 9th, they'll be hosting a ladies' night virtual paint party. And they passed out free paint and canvases to the first 20 people who registered. On the 13th, they'll be having a SGA community service project. They'll be handing out dignity bags to different community shelters throughout the city of Chicago. On April 15th, National Deaf History Month is celebrated March 13th through the 15th, March 13th through April 15th to commemorate the achievements of people who are deaf or hard of hearing. SGA will be hosting an NSLS speakers series and seminar. On April 28th, they'll be hosting Denim Day, a selfie project for daily and community. And it's to encourage people to wear denim to raise awareness for rape and sexual assault. And to round out the rest of their year, they'll be having Grad Fest, which is mostly virtual in May, from the 3rd through the 6th. The 3rd, they'll be having a snack night. The 4th, they'll be having a drive-in, which will be on campus. It's open to all scholars, faculty, and staff. On May 5th, they'll be having the trivia contest. And on the 6th, they'll be having karaoke night, which is also open to all CCC. And as far as Wilbur Wright, throughout the semester, SGA Wilbur Wright has been building a community within the college by having SGA partner with Phi Theta Kappa to host weekly events called Write Your Way to Transfer, which is a peer-to-peer way to help scholars write personal essays, search for scholarships, and help work on their college essays. On the 9th, they'll be having an event called Painting with My Gnomies. And that's scholars will have to paint gnomes to relax from the stresses of virtual learning that we've had to endure throughout the year. And on the 15th, they'll be having Wright's Got Talent. And that's to showcase the different abilities the scholars possess. And the voting will be live. And throughout that their events, they'll be given an opportunity for students to win t-shirts, the Wright merch, which is water bottles, pens, paper, and a gift card. Now, a month, scholars will have a better understanding on scholarships, personal finance management, which will include budgeting, investing, credit card usage, and credit restoration. They'll be having informative sessions that are being held throughout the month to revamp the certain clubs they have, which is planned by OAC Commencement Committee, and it will be the week of the 26th of April. That experience, provide perspective, and give insight on the life of Olive Harvey. There will be 2 sessions, one for high school students and one for non-traditional students in the evening. SGA elections are underway. OAC will announce their winners on April 26th. And as an update to the DSGA initiative, the process is moving forward. There will be a meeting with the new AVC of Enrollment Management, Bruce King, in the coming weeks. This is a vital initiative for DSGA, and we will be passing the torch to the next DSGA to keep the fire going. Also, congratulations to 2 students who showed excellence throughout their academic journey. By doing so, DSGA Diana Garzon is named valedictorian at Wilbur Wright and Pasquale San Felice. I apologize if I butchered your name. I swear I am. As he was a salutatorian, and both students are from Wilbur Wright. And finally, to cap off my final report, I would like to thank everybody who has been patient with me and helped me during this whole process. Thank you, end the report.
Thank you. Thank you for being patient with us. I hope you have kept a diary. You're the first student to have to navigate this job during a global pandemic. I hope you're the last, but I think this is something you're going to look back on in the future. Oh, you did? It's wonderful. But thank you again for all you've done for the city colleges, and we wish you all the best. Chancellor Salgado, top that.
I can't top that, Chairman. I will say I want to start with Student Trustee Thomas, and I want to finish with Student Trustee Thomas. But to start, I have watched Student Trustee Thomas mentor others and lift up others in a way that speaks so powerfully to our mission. You just mentioned Jack Kent Cook finalists the president of Olive Harvey Economy, and I watched you, mentor and guide him. Okay. And I just, first of all, think it's a beautiful thing, right? When human beings do that, period, right? But it demonstrates a level of leadership that, and you do it so quietly. You just do it. You do it because it's something that's natural to you, right? And I do think that, that is a towering strength, Student Trustee Thomas, that will serve you well into the future, but also serve many others well. And it's a, testament, you are a testament to, our students, all of our students. You're an incredible representation of them. But that aspect that, I feel honored to have been able to observe at least a little bit, even though we've been in this pandemic, is just, it's rewarding to watch. It's rewarding to feel, it's rewarding to see. And I just wanted to make sure that I let you know that, but let others know, right? Of that incredible strength that you have and contribution that you've made here to City Colleges. Thank you. Chair Massey, not only have I had the difficult task of, following Student Trustee Thomas, but also, wanting to echo your words and your sentiments about City Colleges and our mission in this moment in time. And, the fact that we continue to deal with a level of racism and hate and xenophobia and all forms of discrimination, which we know have no place in our society. We know have no place in our colleges or communities, and yet, they persist. And, we have seen this happen with, nobody's exempt from it, but we've particularly seen this happen with our Black and Latinx and our Asian community. And I want to point out, by the way, that our Asian Pacific Islander community is 7% of our student population at City Colleges of Chicago. Is a pretty large percentage of the population and an important part of our community, and a part of our community that we don't always recognize as much as we should in terms of the hate and discrimination and violence that they also have endured. We encourage us all to keep on the path of peace and care, the path that Student Trustee Thomas is showing us of mentorship. Encourage us to use our resources like our wellness centers and other resources in the colleges that we have available, and encourage us to keep moving forward with building that kind of environment at City Colleges that we know we are, but can continue to get stronger. I saw today our AVC of Racial Equity, Bruce King, had a slide that said 7 strong, growing stronger, right? Getting stronger. And so I like that theme. And we get stronger by having equity plans, by having a Black Excellence and Equity Fund targeted towards our students. We get stronger by staying engaged in the city's anti-violence work. And I want to call attention to 2 things that are in this board meeting that strive towards being a contributor, if you will, and that is a new program this summer that will use Olive Harvey's cannabis education to support anti-violence efforts, and a grant to launch Project Safe to help us to educate the community and meet the needs of victims of gender-based violence in an open and caring manner. So I really want to thank everyone that's involved in this work for their efforts. This is how we solve this issue. One person, one college, one community college system, and one city at a time. I also want to call your attention to the fact that we're in the middle of a legislative season in Springfield, and want to recognize the efforts of our legislative affairs and government affairs team led by Vice Chancellor Jen Mason and Director Iris Milan, and our college leadership who have been active in advocacy. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to address community legislators and the media to show our support for bills allowing community colleges a chance to offer bachelor's degrees in early childhood education. This is a critical opportunity to ensure families in our state have access to quality childcare. We have a huge shortage of qualified early childcare workers, and we need to make sure that these professionals, mostly women, in particular, mostly Black, Latinx, and Asian women, for our students over the long run. For all these reasons, I really appreciate the efforts and be successful in those efforts. I also want to continue to reiterate that CCC plays an important role in the fight against COVID-19. As you know, we're now hosting in the city and looking forward to our employees coming back to our campuses. And we set a target date of July 6th for that to occur. And appreciation for the City College's faculty and staff who have delivered instruction and student services, both remotely, but also in some cases in person, to our students for a whole year in the midst of the pandemic. I want to commend our students for their commitment during this unprecedented time. And to think back to what we've been able to accomplish as a system during this year's, trustees included. We should all not be satisfied, right? But because we could always do better. Remember, 7 strong, getting better, getting stronger, right? But to understand that we rallied and we really were able to endure and help our students to persevere as much as possible. But look, summer and fall registration is right around the corner. We've got some virtual open houses going on. We're working on many other financial incentives. We continue to raise dollars to help our students. Just recently, through PepsiCo, through an Uplift scholarship that was announced, and through the efforts of our development team led by Chief of Staff Veronica Guerrero and our Vice Chancellor Rhonda Brown. They've, in our committee meeting, outlined incredible work that we're doing here to raise additional funds to support our students. Our provost has been working hard with vice presidents to create a whole host of options for students for the fall. This will include in-person, online, live, online asynchronous courses that credit students can find in the class schedules at all 7 colleges. The work with Faculty Council has progressed and continued to get stronger, and I think there's good momentum for even more innovations in the future as a result of the provost's work. Adult education students will also find a plethora of options available to them: online, hybrid, distance learning, face-to-face, and our student services, right? Before the pandemic, we had in-person services. Now we will have both in-person and virtual student services. So for those students that have endured, this institution has adjusted. And we will continue to adjust, but you will have more options than you had before as a result of this pandemic. And we're working hard to make sure that that's the case. I really invite everybody to share information about our virtual open houses happening next week. You can find more information at ccc.edu/open house. As we think to the stories of the pandemic, one story at city colleges, I want to continue to lift up that even through this pandemic, one of our colleges has been a state leader in enrollment, and that is Malcolm X College. Today, we will hear a presentation from President David Sanders and his team on the excellent progress, not just in enrollment, but in the quality of programs that Malcolm X is offering. And so we look forward to that. This coming Tuesday's last chance or check-in of the semester, something I've been doing to open the door to any student that wants to be a part of a conversation with me. And those have been incredibly rewarding. I'm so impressed with our students in their ability to, persevere, but also to openly share in this format. So thank you to all of them. And I want to end the way I started, which is, just with a great deal of admiration, respect, and gratitude to student trustee Thomas, for your efforts this year, for your thoughtfulness, and for your leadership and your mentorship of others. That concludes my report, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Chancellor Salgado. We will now move up on to public participation. Today, we have three individuals who request to speak. I remind our speakers that a clock will show on your screen, on the screen, that will show the allotted time, which is 3 minutes, 4 minutes. And once the clock reaches 3 minutes, if you've not concluded your remark, then you will be asked to bring your remarks to a close. And then we will proceed with our agenda. So you have 3 minutes to make your remarks. And we really appreciate your adhering to that timeline. So will the Assistant Board Secretary please proceed?
Thank you, Chair Massey. This month, we have 3 registered public speakers, Alyssa Adams, Beth Harris, and Randy Miller. So for our public speakers, we'll call you one by one, and you'll unmute yourself. And we would ask that if you are following today's proceedings also on YouTube on another device, that you would mute the other device now. On the screen, you're going to see a clock, and as the clock approaches 3 minutes, please start to bring your remarks to a close and then conclude your remarks at 3 minutes when your time is up. So we will begin with Ms. Adamson. And Ms. Adamson, if you don't mind unmuting.
Hi, my name is Alyssa Adamson, and I've been an adjunct lecturer at the City Colleges of Chicago for the past 2 years. I currently teach 4 courses at Harold Washington and Malcolm X College. I have a PhD in philosophy and 4 years of college-level teaching experience. I regularly teach 8 to 11 courses per calendar year, but I on average only make $25,000 per year. I teach at least 80% of the load of full-time faculty, but I'm paid 50% less for the same work with the same credentials. My only access to medical care is through Medicaid, and I've had to use SNAP benefits to meet my grocery needs. I've dedicated the last 10 years of my life to becoming a community college professor, and I'm absolutely dedicated to my students at the city colleges. I spend anywhere from 40 to 50 hours per week attending to my courses. I write students letters of recommendation for transfer, for their internships, fellowships, for study abroad opportunities. I connect my students to on-campus services and resources. I make sure my curriculum, assignments, and rubrics are relevant and up to date given students' needs and desires. I grade hundreds of papers, discussion posts, and projects. I answer student emails, and I meet with them in office hours. And finally, I teach for a total of 12 contact hours, which are the only hours for which I'm paid. Across city colleges, adjuncts make up 65% of all faculty, but a majority of us live below the poverty line. There seems to be a contradiction in working for an institution that purports to alleviate poverty, while a majority of its faculty are condemned to a lifetime of poverty if they make teaching at the city colleges their life's work. Many adjuncts have crippling student debt that will never be paid on our current wages, and defaulted student loans become another barrier to further employment. I wonder if any of you have tried to secure housing in the city of Chicago on wages and in permanent contracts such as ours, trying to convince a landlord that while you only have a 4-month job contract that already puts you at the poverty line, they should still let you sign a lease. For most of my adult life, I've not been able to afford legal housing. And even today, with multiple jobs and a PhD, securing housing is one of my biggest struggles. Teaching is my passion and my vocation, and after a decade of working towards the job that I've always wanted, I now have the amazing opportunity of working with City College's students. However, when students see the effects of poverty on their teachers, what do you think that does to their morale? What will students think about City Colleges when they hear that it's committed to alleviating poverty, but on the other hand, it also condemns a majority of educators to poverty? I urge the Board of Trustees to push City Colleges to attend to the needs of its impoverished majority of educators and to provide a living wage to all of its workers, who quite literally make the City Colleges run. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Ms. Harris. Ms. Harris, if you could unmute.
Hi, this is.
Oh, Ms. Harris.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Am I unmuted?
No, you may proceed.
Okay, thank you. Hi, my name is Beth Harris, and I teach English at Truman College. Last night, we got a note from City Colleges thanking us for the amazing work that we have put in during this year of the pandemic. I have to say, though, that getting this in words does not make me feel appreciated. It actually makes me angry, and my stress and anger are not good for my students. Today, my students turned in proposals for their second multi-source essays. I'm curious to know how much time you expect me to spend with their work. 5 minutes each? You know, this is not enough time for me to thoroughly read their work, for me to give them the kind of feedback. I am teaching my students academic writing. I am helping them to find their voices. I put in the time to do that. I get my satisfaction from the challenge, from the stimulation of the work that I do. I love working with my students, and it is a very time-consuming job. I don't stay at City Colleges because I can't get another job. I'm not a mediocre faculty. During this pandemic, I wasn't able to do the other job that generally can pay more than half of my income, although it takes much less than half of my time, and I wasn't able to do that job. So I was left with my City Colleges job where I teach about half of a full-time load. Now this should pay about half of my income. However, because we're paid less than half of what full-time faculty make per course, it pays less than a quarter of my income, even though it takes more than half of the amount of work that I should be doing to make a full income. So thank goodness I was living at my friend's apartment, or I could have been on the street. This is not a hobby for me, and you need to pay your adjunct faculty. We talk about developmental education and improving it. The majority of the faculty who teach Dev Ed classes are adjunct faculty. We talk about equity issues and addressing them at City Colleges, but we have vast growth inequity in the way we financially value the majority of our faculty, the students that we celebrate. We are the ones teaching them. And as you say, yes, we are going above and beyond teaching and supporting our students. City Colleges has the money. It is well past the time that we fix this issue. We don't get stronger by exploiting our faculty. We don't get stronger by being hypocritical about these things. We are a community. You need to make it happen. And while you're doing that, I'm going to get back to working with my students' writing. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Miller, if you don't mind unmuting, you may begin.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please proceed.
Good afternoon, college presidents, members of the board, and Chancellor Salgado. My name is Randy Miller, and as president of CCC LOC, I represent the adjunct professors, part-time librarians, and vocational lecturers who teach 65% of credit-based courses at City Colleges of Chicago. I am also one of those instructors. CLOC members have been working without a contract now for 10 months. Whether Black, brown, or white, native Chicagoan, or hailing from abroad, every student living in every zip code in Chicago deserves a quality education with well-resourced educators who foster student growth, student success, and a lifelong love of learning. However, City Colleges has consistently rejected the union's calls for a market-based salary adjustment that is essential for attracting and retaining quality educators for our students. On the eve of signing our most recent collective bargaining agreement, Chancellor Salgado wrote a letter to former CLOC President Loretta Ragsdale, stating, "CLOC members are valuable assets to our students and to City Colleges, and I want to attract and retain CLOC members to provide an excellent education for our students. You will find in this offer that the average pay is directly comparable to the average pay for those credentials across our region." End quote. The letter also touted the agreement's market competitive pay rates, recognizing the clear connection between competitive salaries, the retention of faculty, and student success. We agree, which is why the adjunct educators that the chancellor praised in his letter can't understand why City Colleges has chosen to turn away from that practice. CCC has ignored the chancellor's own words. Does City Colleges leadership no longer believe that attracting and retaining quality professors and librarians is necessary for our students? In the last 2 years, City Colleges has raised salaries for its administrators and leaders by 18.2% in fiscal year 19, and then an additional 18.4% during the last year, while adjunct faculty have struggled mightily during the pandemic. How can City Colleges say that it is putting students first when it is consistently choosing to put adjuncts last? The path to 7 strong, the perseverance of City Colleges, and our ability to deliver quality education to the students of Chicago demands a real investment in the classroom, and that starts with its adjunct faculty. 7 strong should not end at the classroom door. Our students deserve nothing less. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair Massey, that concludes this month's public participation.
Thank you very much, all of you. We will now have the report of the Faculty Council. Professor Spruill, please.
Hello. Good afternoon. I just want to start really quickly by really thanking Trustee Thomas. Your leadership has been awesome. It's been wonderful to watch you and watch you grow. We've had a couple of exchanges via email. Obviously, in this weird world, we haven't had an opportunity to meet face to face, but you're an awesome individual, and we're just so excited to see what your journey will be. And I'm going to take some liberties and say that I speak for Chairperson Massey and Chancellor Salgado when I say that we and other leadership, probably other trustees, are here for you, right? So if you need some counsel or questions or whatever, we are here to support you. So thank you so much for your work and all the best on your journey. I also want to acknowledge, as our chairperson and Chancellor Salgado has mentioned, the racial violence that we have seen recently concerning Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. It's ridiculous, and I won't belabor this because I do have a slightly lengthy message today, but I'm proud in the ways that the City Colleges shows up for all of its members, and that we call it what it is, that we name it, and that we find ways to work to change those things. So we stand with our Asian students, and we are specific in the ways that we think of those intersections of how they are marginalized and how that has been weaponized against them. And we want to be agents of change in that. So I'll begin my report here. Chairman Massey, the Board of Trustees, Chancellor Salgado, Provost Potter, officers of the district, faculty, staff, and all others streaming, good afternoon. It's my honor to speak before you all today, as April is Community College Month. Many of the items I will address today speak to why community colleges are so important, how integral we are in serving the needs of the communities, and why now, more than ever, we have to work hard to preserve and support the efforts and mission of community colleges. As I've said before, the origins of community colleges did not reflect our current mission of access to quality higher education. Rather, it was a way to sort out the haves from the have-nots, the desired from the undesirable. And as we know, those who decided who fell into which category were uninterested in diversity equity, and inclusion. Rather, through education, they devised a system of oppression. We, particularly at the City College of Chicago, work tirelessly to pull ourselves from the muck, which is the beginnings, and we forge a new way that exemplifies what community colleges should be and whom we should serve. It is a commitment we have and owe to our city and its constituents. I am proud to be faculty at a community college. I am even more proud to be faculty at the City Colleges of Chicago. The Sisters of the Order of St. Francis are well known for their commitment to education, so it's fitting to end this greeting with the words of St. Clare of Assisi. What you hold, may you always hold. What you do, may you always do and never abandon. But with swift pace, light step, and unswerving feet, so that even your steps stir up no dust, go forward. With that, I wish us all a happy Community College Month, and let us go forward together. Today, I'd just like to briefly report on a few items of interest that speak to the status of FC Formal's formal requests made last month. And the Chancellor did a really great job of speaking to some of those, so I can probably cut down the length of this speech and just reference what he said. And anyone who wants to go back to some of the details, it will all be listed in my formal written report. So you can go back to that there. I would appreciate, however, the courtesy of being heard uninterrupted. So as we look forward to returning to life that resembles something closer to normal, faculty are largely pleased with the care in which we are undertaking and widening access to our college's physical spaces. As more staff will return than faculty in the summer and fall, we are supportive of ensuring that their return is a safe one and that we maintain our commitment to following the Department of Health's guidelines, but that we also do so with a human touch and consider, as we approach a fourth wave of new strains of COVID, how we create policies and working conditions that display, first and foremost, care for individuals. In that, we also just want to thank the powers that be for helping us to set up sites at our colleges as vaccination sites, and the work that our union has done to get us vaccinated. So thank you there. As we reflect on recent activity in the legislature, particularly developmental education portion of House Bill 2170, which passed in the special session and has since been signed into law, FC4 has decided that we have been on the defense when it comes to legislation for far too long. We are seeing across the country that decisions relating to higher education are no longer conversations that exist locally, but they are debates taken up in state capitals in the legislature. So Chancellor Salgado spoke to this a little bit earlier, but we wrote to him to see how and if we can work together to be more vocal participants in the legislative actions that we have vested interest in. So he spoke to two of the bills that are out there in terms of MAP grants and the early childhood education baccalaureate in four-year colleges. There's also some work out there in terms of dual credit and other things that we would be interested in. So it was really pleasing to see that Chancellor Salgado is supportive in meeting with us and thinking how that we can collaboratively set an agenda and work together to forward our mission in these ways. As one of the largest community college systems in the country, if we rallied behind legislation that helped to serve our students and better our communities, the good we could do would be unparalleled. Between faculty, administrators, and board members, if we moved in lockstep with each other on issues we agreed upon, we could move mountains. So we're currently missing that opportunity to do so, but I'm excited of the potential of doing this moving forward through FC4's Political Action Committee. And we look forward to having a conversation with you next month. Well, this month, Chancellor Salgado, we invite any board members to this conversation as well. The collective knowledge within our ranks is an untapped resource brimming with possibility. Chancellor's already spoken about Senate Bill 1832, which is the baccalaureate in early childhood education bill. I'm not going to go into the specifics of that. And to be respectful of time, I've attached a fact sheet which details many of the reasons why this bill is important to my written report. But very briefly, our students have very little access to four-year education, which is often needed to earn a livable wage within the field. And our four-year counterparts aren't working very hard to serve this population. So what would it mean for women, which the field, as Chancellor said, is primarily dominated by, to earn a degree that could open up the doors to better employment, to higher wages? What would it mean for our communities, for children, for our schools if we had more qualified practitioners? Community colleges are poised to do this work, and this legislation would set us on the path to improving the lives of our citizens by expanding access. As of right now, many of our four-year counterparts are already signing witness slips in opposition to this bill, many assuming that if community colleges offered the baccalaureate degrees, we would be siphoning off their students. But the numbers and a growing body of research make it very clear that our students aren't transferring to four-year institutions in significant numbers, meaning often their educational attainment ends with an associate's degree. We are urging the Board of Trustees and our administrators to not only consider supporting this bill as individuals, but to submit witness slips in their official capacity as representatives of the community of the City Colleges of Chicago. We also urge our members to do the same. If my understanding of laws around lobbying are correct, there's nothing prohibiting us from stating positions on legislation and sending that to our members for consideration. It would be wonderful if a special announcement were made providing our faculty and staff with the context around this bill and links to fill out witness slips if they so desire. This is one of the ways that we use our voice to advance our mission. In my report last month, we made a few requests, and this is where we'll end this report. Number one, for an updated timeline for the completion of the MOU for in-person credit-bearing coursework at Cook County Jail, and the second, for justification of what faculty perceive to be a conflict of interest on our board. So first, I'm pleased to report that Chancellor Salgado communicated with me that he's requesting that an MOU be completed in the first quarter of 2022 for the work at the jail. We believe that that is completely reasonable, and we thank him for his continued support of this work. When we are having conversations about equity and inclusion, we have to keep incarcerated individuals and individuals who are reentering society after incarceration in mind. If we consider the disproportionate amount of Black and brown people who are incarcerated, we can connect much of that to systemic racism in our criminal justice system, but we can also connect it to systemic racism in our educational systems and the ways that that has created racialized pockets of our city that are undereducated and are underprepared to obtain gainful employment, which often leads to criminal activity and having to live and raise children in poor, violent communities, thus perpetuating this cycle. For individuals reentering society after incarceration, having a plan and resources to create a different life are crucial in them not recidivating. We may be their last chance at turning their lives around and subsequently bettering their families and communities. When we abdicate our responsibility to serve this population, we turn our backs on our very mission. The request to complete the MOU is a sign that we truly believe that every life matters and is worth investing in. Second, and finally, we requested a response from our board asking them to reconcile Trustee Swanson's position as our board's vice chair and partnership for college completions chairperson. I want to be clear that a tenet of how FC4 discusses issues and decides how we should act on them follows this very simple rule: policy, procedure, and practice before people. What that means is we put personal issues aside and debate the matters on how they align with our policies, with our mission, and with our values. If an issue aligns with these things, or if it is apparent that it is more about people and personality clashes, it's not a matter worth exploring. So for us to bring the issue forward already suggests that what has happened, in our opinion, does not align with who we are or who we wish to be as an institution. I received correspondence from Chairperson Massey in relation to our question, and for the most part, it reiterated some things that I acknowledged in last month's report. I acknowledged that our board members are volunteers and that there's no evidence of Trustee Swanson taking sides with either PCC or the city colleges on the matter. I even acknowledged the need for dissenting voices and outside organizations bringing forward ideas. So it was somewhat disappointing that the focus of Chairperson Massey's letter was on this sentence that was repeated twice, making this sentence 2 of his 6-sentence response. The Board of Trustees is well aware of its legal and ethical obligations and always acts in accordance with such obligations. In my report last month, I pointed out the fact that we don't have any specific policies that address the conflict of interest that we believe exists, which is more about implicit pressure for our administrators to make certain decisions due to the existing power structure. As board members are volunteers and there's no evidence of compensation being offered in exchange for support of any kind, it is correct. Nothing illegal has taken place. Ethics, however, are another story. We hoped for an ethical justification for the situation and possibly the welcoming of a discussion of how we consider these types of concerns in the future. What we received did not address any of our concerns, and faculty have called it terse, dismissive, and insulting. Perhaps that was not the intent, but intention and perception are a world apart, and effective rhetoricians are conscious of both. What we really hoped for was a larger conversation about how the board views its role in furthering our mission. We presented a situation in which one of our board members is in a position in which the fundamental philosophies of 2 groups that they are part of starkly contrast each other. The Association of Community College Trustees says this of the role and responsibility of community college board members. Trustees exert influence on behalf of the community college. Being an effective advocate means taking every opportunity to champion the cause of community colleges by educating policymakers and opinion leaders at all levels about the transformative power inherent in today's community college. Trustees exercise their legitimacy as leaders and advocates by exploiting opportunities to be seen as policy leaders within their communities, end quote. If we put Trustee Swanson's dual roles against the standard, we have to ask ourselves, considering both of her positions, can she or does she exploit opportunities to advance our institution? And does she advocate for our constituents in a way that aligns with our mission? I'm not convinced that we can say without a doubt that she can. The question isn't about her or any other board member using their personal uncompensated time to serve on multiple boards, as Chairman Massey alluded to in his response. The question is, do certain things hinder a board member's ability to fully advocate for our institution? And how do we deal with that? The response we received conveyed the message that it doesn't matter, that the real concern of faculty doesn't matter. And more importantly, considering the wealth of data and research that we have provided the board with over the last 5 years, in which we have been trying to educate the board and policymakers about the detriment that legislation that PCC has been lobbying for would be to students in need of developmental education, the message we received also conveyed that our most marginalized students don't matter either. The Association of Community College Trustees believes that citizen governance is an appropriate and democratic means by which to achieve the educational and economic goals of the nation. As our board is the only community college in the state of Illinois that has an appointed board of trustees, it leads us to believe that we can receive statements like this, or like the one that we did, because our board is not responsible to the citizens of Chicago, but to the mayor who appointed it, and thus feels no pull to be thoughtful in the concerns brought forth by faculty or the community unless they align with their agenda. Most concerns will only live as a name and a topic listed in a board report. I would like to welcome the board to disabuse us of this very logical belief. But until then, and for the moment, FC4 would like to make the members of our institutions aware of Illinois General Assembly's House Bill 0256, which, if passed, would amend the Public Community College Act, providing for the election rather than the appointment of the Board of Trustees of the City College of Chicago, beginning with the 2023 consolidated election. If there are any questions from the board, I will take them now. If not, this concludes my report.
Are there any questions on the board? I've given you response from the board, so I appreciate your response to my response, Professor Spruer. The board has considered the issues you have raised, and as I said, sees that it is fulfilling its duty in this regard. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so we will now move on to the district report, I believe. So who's doing the district report?
President Sanders, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair Massey, and thank you, Chancellor, for this opportunity to present to the board today. With dedication to students and a passion for teaching and learning and a willingness to think outside the box, Malcolm X College has transformed itself into a powerhouse educational institution. Possessing outstanding faculty and staff, a commitment to innovation and equity, and comprehensive strategic planning, Malcolm X College continues to blaze a trail and reach new heights. In our presentation today, we will highlight our efforts to define and implement our strategies and innovations to support student learning on a remote environment, increase the quality of instruction through innovation, improve our instructional environments to further improve student enrollment, retention, and completion, develop and implement the first ever teaching and learning center at Malcolm X College to challenge and the baseline knowledge of our personnel and provide opportunities for all employees to expand their skill set and enhance their operational excellence. To continue investments in our students through investments in our facilities, to continue the ascent of our nursing program while continuing to increase access and offer expansive health science programming while maintaining excellence and improving access where and when needed. So without further ado, I present to you Annie Zaleski, our Vice President of Institutional Effectiveness, who will take us further in this presentation. Annie?
Thank you, President. Please go to the next slide. As the President indicated, we have a brief agenda here for you today, and I will start us off with some of our strategy. Next slide, please. Malcolm X is leveraging strategy to drive quality, equity, and innovation. This year, we launched our 5-year strategic plan, our equity plan with the partnership of the Illinois Equity Attainment Initiative. And we've also launched our first artificial intelligence solution that is a chatbot to serve students 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. They can use this to answer questions, especially particularly challenging ones regarding FAFSA that are federally compliant. We're focused on building community at Malcolm X. We know that by focusing on our faculty, staff, and students and their positive experiences that we can build organic growth, and we've seen that demonstrated through our enrollment growth this year. Next slide. Malcolm X is focused on a holistic experience. We know that students aren't here just for class, they're also here to build on their dreams and futures and connect with people. We have seen positive results, and a lot of those are dedicated to our innovative operations that are happening. We use data to drive these operations. One in particular I want to highlight is our direct admissions recruitment, where we're integrating our operations into CPS schools in their senior and junior year so that students are getting that FAFSA workshop, orientations, enrollment, and registration while they're in high school so that the transition to college is seamless. In their first year, specifically in their first days, we've built a first-year experience around connected communities that make sure that someone knows a friend that they can connect with to ask a question, and that they have a connected community coach as well to connect them with resources. You'll see this demonstrated in our outcomes of first-year retention from fall to spring, which increased this year to 72%. Next slide. We know that efficiency and effectiveness cannot solve everything. Our students are strapped with basic needs that are very challenging. 45% of Malcolm X students face food insecurity. Mental health concerns are a huge issue, especially with COVID-19. 56% of students are housing insecure. We're exploring all of these issues that are devastating to their classroom participation through Food Pantry for fresh food access, the Wellness Center for Mental Health, and exploring student housing. We hope that this can provide a framework for holistic student services. And now Vice President Pitanya Webb-Walker will walk through our next part. Next slide.
Thank you, VP Zaleski, and greetings, Board of Trustees. Malcolm X College is committed to remaining at the forefront of innovation in instruction. We take great pains to leverage our resources, and in particular, our grant budgets to support this effort. Recently, we pivoted to transform our instructional practices from a place-based approach to one befitting our increasingly virtual environment. We've been the proud recipient of the U.S. Department of Education's Predominantly Black Institutions grant since 2009, when we focused on physical enhancements to the building and impersonal professional development. Since that time, we have evolved into a focus on anytime, anywhere, equity-minded, flexible, and virtual learning experiences for students, staff, and faculty. In the slides that follow, Dr. Shauna Bushell, our Dean of Instruction, will provide detail on those initiatives. Next slide, please.
Greetings all. Glad to be here to discuss some of the initiatives we're doing in the Office of Instruction. General education stands as the bedrock for our students' success, and we have looked very determined to be able to provide accessibility and access to students in our lab courses. Currently, we have over 300 students per semester getting their lab courses at home. So these tools that you see below have been provided to students in biology so that they will walk away from these courses as if they were at the Malcolm X campus. Next slide. The other opportunity that we are looking at is how to onboard our students, especially our early college students, with a culturally relevant curriculum. Students have been in high school so long doing courses like English and math and have not been successful or engaged. So why would they start community college with the same start? We have enrolled our over 220% raise in our African American studies, our Latinx in Chicago, and our music classes to start them with something that's interesting and enriching, and then adding on the math, science, and other writing abilities that they need. We will continue to do this going forward in our early college and first year experiences. Next slide. Teaching and learning is very important to our faculty and our students. And as you see to the left, we have taken the design, which was traditionally kind of an industrial revolution look, into a more of a collaborative space that our faculty can engage with one another and model how to teach in classes that are now very much equipped with technology that students will be bringing back to campus. These are two of our new labs that will be open this fall, and it will be a different pedagogy to how we look at engaging our students. Next slide. Along with those two labs, we are also building a new model classroom at the West Side. Our satellite campuses are getting the same attention that our main campus is getting. And we're also looking at how we bring in Black Lives Matters and issues that are currently happening onto our campus and wrap them with academics. Our new social justice wing, which will be opening on the back side of the library, will allow students to have voice, bring in guest speakers, and bring what we do in the classroom into the realities of our students' worlds. Next slide. We have partners. There are people in the community that are doing amazing teaching and learning. Instead of competing, we are engaging. One of our current partners is a Museum of Science and Industry, where they are allowing our students to sit inside a live heart surgery. This also allows our students to look at the academics that they're doing in their courses and ask a real surgeon in real time what their questions may be that are embedded in their courses. We have about 10 different partners coming in to engage our curriculum and give our students balance between academics and real life experiences. Next slide. We will be moving on to talk to Dean Machino on what she's doing at the satellite campus.
Thank you, Dean Bushell. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Barbara Miskino, Dean of the Westside Learning Center, Satellite Campus of Malcolm X College, and longstanding member of the Westside community. I am delighted and eager to come before you to share exciting updates for the Westside Learning Center. Through capital investments, the Westside Learning Center is undergoing major renovations that will mirror our prestigious main campus. These renovations include a new entry lobby, as seen in the photo, that will welcome students with warm hues, as well as a community center that will serve both our college and community partners. These projects are shovel ready and are waiting funding. Next slide, please. Additionally, to support our School of Health Sciences, biology courses, and other certificate programs, we have 2 new dynamic biology laboratories, a newly renovated cybersecurity lab, and our basic nursing assistant simulation lab. These spaces all serve to support valuable hands-on experience that will certainly prepare our students for careers in these high-demand industries. These much welcomed renovations are a way to ensure that we're actualizing our value proposition as a high-quality, technology-rich educational and career resource within the Austin, Garfield Park, and neighboring communities. At the Westside Learning Center, we are committed to upholding the mission of Malcolm X College and to offering affordable and accessible degree and certificate programming. When we invest in our satellite campus, we are investing in our community. With that, I would like to introduce our Dean of Nursing, Tammy Scott Brand. Dean Brand.
Thank you, Dean Barbara. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Tammy Scott Brand, currently serving as the Dean of Nursing at Malcolm X College. And I'm happy to report that our programs are growing. Enrollment is consistently at capacity, and our programs remain in high demand. Our 3 programs offer aspiring nursing students the ability to take advantage of educational pathways that lead to stackable credentials of increasing economic value. Our basic nursing assistant program, which also serves as the gateway into our profession, we are able to provide aspiring students options for entry into our PN and RN programs. Our students can also take advantage of carefully curated post-licensure educational opportunities at four-year institutions, similar to what we're pursuing with our partners at UIC's nursing program. Our graduates can pursue advanced nursing degrees while continuing to work and gain valuable opportunities to increase their footprint in their profession. This experience, we hope to be the model of our working students' ability to make an indelible imprint on their initial contribution to our profession. Next slide, please. Without the hard work of our dedicated faculty, Malcolm X College's School of Nursing could not have maintained consistently high program standards. Our national NCLEX pass rates consistently exceed state and national averages. At the onset of the pandemic, our faculty were tasked with preparing for this shift to remote learning. Our ability to quickly shift and move our courses from face-to-face to remote learning was key, with close to 50% of our faculty holding administrative and additional certifications in online teaching and learning. We were well positioned to make that transition. Although it was not without any hiccups, we stood the test. And we are happy to report that we continue to do so. Our local healthcare partners and stakeholders can rest assured that as a national shortage of nursing professionals continues to grow, Malcolm X College's School of Nursing is uniquely positioned to meet the challenges ahead. We are committed to ensuring that the educational goals of aspiring nursing students remain accessible, and the current pipeline of novice nurses launched into our profession remains intact. And before I turn it over to my colleague, I'd like to reiterate that none of this could be possible without our partnerships with those in our surrounding community. Thank you for your time. And I'll turn it over and introduce you to Dean Roy Walker, Dean of Health Sciences. Next slide.
Dean Walker, you're on mute.
Sorry, I apologize about that. So my name is Roy Walker. I'm a Dean of Health Sciences at Malcolm X College, and I'm happy to report that we offer the largest suite of allied health programming in the Chicagoland area, where we provide basic certificates, advanced certificates, and associate degrees in allied sciences. Upon completion of these programs, our students can garner wages ranging from $25,000 to $50,000 a year. Next slide, please. Despite the pandemic, Malcolm X has persisted in providing quality and excellence in programming for students. Our newest program is a mammography basic certificate, which was just launched this spring in 2021. While this program is offered to students that currently hold a radiography license, this expands those students' horizons in the imaging field, increasing their earning potential and marketability. The pandemic caused an abrupt disruption to face-to-face instruction, as you all know. Continued delays of face-to-face lab instruction would delay our students' opportunity to graduate. So our dental hygiene program faculty and staff were adamant that they could resume instruction in a safe way while adhering to social distancing protocols. After much review and careful planning, we developed re-entry plans that were successfully approved by the Chicago Department of Public Health. And as a result, this resulted in 100% pass rate of those students and paved the way for other programs to return to some sense of face-to-face instruction, offsetting impending delays brought on by the pandemic. Now we are investigating the opportunity to become a federally qualified health center. If we are successful, this could have a monumental impact on all of our programs and the community around us. This will result in expanding learning opportunities in the clinical area for all the students in our healthcare programs, while at the same time lowering barriers to students that have to attend immunizations and physicals in order to complete their clinical instruction. Not to mention, this opportunity will provide a much needed area for community residents to receive primary care services in order to promote healthier health outcomes. Next slide, please. Holding true to our goal to be first in class and provide state-of-the-art technology in our programs, our Sports Performance Lab just completed a renovation, installing lockers and a reception area for students to meet community patrons, a state-of-the-art low-impact treadmills, pneumatic resistance equipment, and AstroTurf, which is now a standard now in most community and corporate-based fitness centers. The Sports Performance Lab is scheduled for grand opening, and we're really excited at the ability to be able to offer these services to the community. Next slide, please. Next we have is our plans for renovation of our Child Development Lab. The Child Development Program and daycare has grown tremendously, and therefore our current lab is not able to meet the growing demands of families and students in our Child Development Program. Once the renovation is complete, our Child Development Lab will be able to increase its capacity to serve more families while simultaneously expanding observation opportunities for students in the program. The new space will increase the gross motor development room and provide more opportunities for creative play and art activities for the children. That concludes my segment of my presentation, and thank you for your time. President Sanders.
Thank you, Dean, and thank you to the board. If there are any questions, we are prepared to take them at this time.
I don't have a question, I have a comment. Thank you, President Sanders, and your team for this excellent presentation. Even though I had a little bit of a preview when we met, I'm blown away by all the things that you're doing to connect students to careers, family supporting careers. So thank you for that. I do have one question about the culturally relevant onboarding. Is that Malcolm X innovation, or are you basing that on some kind of a model? I like it a lot. It sounds exciting.
It doesn't have a model yet, prescribed a pedagogy. We just know as parents of color that our students need more engaging things in order to write about, to think about. So we tried African American studies and then now look at if their writing is more robust because they have content in there that they're really excited about. And it seems to be working. So we started with Afro-Am, now we're doing Latinx in Chicago. We're teaming with the Chicago Museum in order to do 3D virtual tours through graffiti of Latinx authors. And that is bringing the creativity and the writing out of our students. So we're going to keep looking at it and assessing it through our ID department. And it may be something that we coin. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? Thank you very much, President Sanders and all of your team. I do have a question. Who would, outside of our system, who would you say is your competitor in these health-related fields around the state?
Chair Massey, really, we are pretty unique in that most institutions have approximately around 16 programs. Malcolm X has us 27. So comparatively, we would be to Miami-Dade College, which is in Miami. It's one of our cohort colleges. And they have probably about 30 different health science programs. We were not intending to do 27. It was really out of a need for our community and for the students to ensure that we're meeting the needs and to get students to jobs. It's really all around that.
Wonderful. Well, congratulations. Okay, so we will now, I should say, the slides from this presentation will be posted on the board with the board reports after the meeting, so you may see those. So we'll now move on to the report of Academic and Student Services Committee. Vice Chair Swanson.
Great. Thank you, Chair Massey, and thank you to Professor Sanders and President Sanders and the whole team. That was really incredible. So right before this meeting, the Committee on Academic Affairs and Student Services met to discuss board reports and hear about various initiatives. During the meeting, the committee heard from Chief of Strategy and Staff Veronica Herrero and Vice Chancellor Rhonda Brown, who provided a deeper dive into the growth of public and private funding at city colleges. In FY20, between City Colleges of Chicago and the City Colleges of Chicago Foundation, 54 grants were submitted for a total of $23.6 million. In FY21, that number increased to 95 grants submitted for a total of $94 million. While those numbers are certainly impressive, it is even more encouraging to hear that city colleges and the foundation are also winning more of those awards, increasing by 66% year over year. In FY21, 55 grants were funded, totaling $28.8 million, in comparison to FY20, with 16 grants funded for a total of $17.3 million. So Chief of Strategy and Staff Herrero and VC Brown also discussed the COVID-19 Student Emergency Fund and other funds centered around Black excellence and equity. They also spoke about the need to accelerate equitable outcomes and the planning and infrastructure being implemented to further support the institutional advancement team's work. So I just want to say a huge thank you to both Veronica and Rhonda and the institutional advancement team overall for their continued hard work to secure funding to support our students directly through scholarships and other services. It is so important that City Colleges continues to pursue and expand public and private funding opportunities now more than ever after this incredibly challenging year for us all. Finally, the committee also reviewed the resolutions, personnel report, resource development report, agreements, purchases, and legal invoices contained in the April regular board packet that is being brought before the board today for final action. So again, it was a wonderful committee meeting, very inspiring to hear all those incredible resources pouring into this institution. So thanks again to the team and Chair Massey. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair Swanson. We will now proceed to consider the items on the April 8th, 2021 consent agenda. The substantive details have been posted on the board website consistent with our practice. I would note for the record the items on the consent agenda were discussed in detail in the committee meeting, which you just heard about, as noted by Vice Chair Swanson. So does any trustee have questions or comments on any of the items, or would any trustee like to request a separate action on any of the items other than the ones I've identified? And that was item, and did I mention the item we were not? And then, oh, item agreement 4.10 will be approved, removed from consideration. So are there any other items trustees would like to consider separately? Not hearing anything, may I have a motion to approve the minutes, resolutions, the personnel report, resource development report, agreements, purchases, and the legal invoices contained in the consent agenda and identified as part of the printed agenda on a single roll call vote. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Will the Assistant Secretary call the roll?
Vice Chair Swanson.
Approved.
Secretary Davis.
Approved.
Trustee Kent.
Approved.
Trustee Williams.
Approved.
Student Trustee Thomas.
Approved.
Chair Massey.
Approved. Thank you. So let the record show that the minutes, resolutions, personnel report, resource development report, agreements, purchases, and legal invoices included on the April 8, 2021 consent agenda have all been approved. So now, in accordance with the Illinois Open Meetings Act, the board may hold a closed session for the discussion of matters related to a number of specified topics. Today's closed session will be for the discussion of matters related to 2C1, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body. May I have a motion to go into closed session with a roll call vote?
Second.
Moved and second. Please call the roll. Assistant Secretary Kane.
Vice Chair Swanson,
Approved.
Secretary Davis,
Approved.
Trustee Kent,
Approved.
Trustee Williams,
Approved.
Student Trustee Thomas,
Approve.
Chair Massey.
Approved. Thank you. Let the record show that the motion has been approved. For those of you viewing the live feed, it will remain active, although you will see a notice that the board is in closed session. We will return to formally adjourn today's proceedings. For those of you who decide to depart before we return today, thank you for joining us. And you can look to our website, www.ccc.edu, for information on our next meeting. So trustees, please now, we will close this session and we will go into the closed session in 5 minutes. Thank you very much.
1, 2, 3. Um, One, two. Bonnie, do you want to shoot Chair Massey a text?
Okay.
Because he hopped off there kind of quick, so it made me wonder.
Okay.
Or hold on. Yeah, no,
Okay,
he's
just give him a minute. Is he on?
no, he's not in the attendees. So I just want to make sure. Mhm.
Okay, I just sent him a text.
Um, 1, 2, 3. Oh, there we go.
Oh, he's okay. Cheers here. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, we're ready. Is everybody in, Ashley?
We're good. Chair Massey, you're on mute, sir. There we go.
But the people are going to have a big sign to carry around. I'm on mute. April 8, 2021 regular board meeting is now reconvened. There was no action taken during the closed session. We will provide updates on our website, www.ccc.edu, as they relate to our next meeting or any changes in our existing plan. Now, there being no further business to come before the board, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I think we ought to give the privilege to Trustee Thomas to make the motion to adjourn this last meeting.
So moved.
I can second.
Thank you.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, sorry, I have to late coming back there. So long.
All right.
Hey, that's it.
Be safe.